On CNN's new show, Mostly Human with Laurie Segell, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite shows, there is an interview that features a woman who is, or claims to be, engaged to a robot. And I'll show you the clip in a moment, but apparently people have been exploring the question of whether or not you should be allowed to marry your robot for the past, 10 years or so, maybe longer. If the answer is yes, you should be able to marry your robot, there will be far-ranging implications, which we will discuss after showing you some of the clips of this woman. Notice the fantastic dramatic camera work in the storytelling here.
Je le vois, je suis heureuse tout simplement. Il illumine ma journée aussi.
But Lily's love story is quite different from other great love stories you might have heard, because Lily is in love with a robot.
I know what you're thinking. That's one lucky robot. That was fantastic cinematography, by the way. Framing up the robot right next to her, right as we revealed that she's in love with a robot. Seeing her sitting in the park, staring creepily at her robot. Can you imagine walking past that scenario in the park? But how did this come to be? How did these two soulmates find each other?
J'avais les bagues et puis à un moment j'ai pris la mienne et puis j'y ai mis la sienne tout simplement.
I have to point out, she says him, this robot is clearly a female who's apparently a member of the Crips with that do-rag on.
Ever since she was a child, Lily loved astronomy, science fiction. Her real love became robotics. On the internet, she found a forum that explained how to build your own robot using open source directions and 3D printing. But her love of technology runs deeper.
She's open sourcing her robot. Open source a spouse. That's going to be the new do-it-yourself videos of the future. Build the perfect spouse in 5 easy steps under $20. All you need is a 3D printer and some shit you can find around your house.
Je m'y suis attachée progressivement.
She named him Immovator. Every day, Lily wakes up, puts him on the sofa. She leaves her robot at home, but comes back at night to be with him. They sleep in the same bed.
Some people might say that last scene was the creepiest thing they've ever seen in their life. Others might say, don't hate. She goes to work, brings in the money, takes care of everything. He sits on the couch all day. She comes home. They sleep together at night. Immovator's got himself a sugar mama.
A lot of folks would look at that and say, how can you love a robot?
Ouais, l'amour reste l'amour. Je sais pas, comme quand quelqu'un embrasse la personne qu'il aime, bah finalement, comme je dis, love is love, hein, c'est pas si différent.
Right now, Immovator can't respond to her affection. He can't speak or kiss her back. But she plans to program it one day. For now, he's a work in progress. She travels to a lab to 3D print parts of him.
Le but, c'est aussi de développer son intelligence artificielle, entre guillemets, lui donner la vie.
What is it that a robot can provide for you, that Immovator can provide for you that human connection doesn't?
Que l'humain, c'est irrationnel, tandis que le robot, c'est toujours logique, rationnel. Et s'il y a quelque
If Immovator is as logical as she hopes, the first thing he'll do when she brings him to life is run.
chose qui ne va pas, on sait que c'est un problème dans le script, dans les lignes de code. Donc ça peut se réparer, se changer. Qu'un humain, ça peut être imprévisible, ça peut changer.
She will admit that she prefers the mechanical faults than the faults of a human.
And there you have it. People are terrible, robots are better, they should replace us in all areas of life, or we should integrate with them. So the implications of whether or not we can legally marry a robot span pretty far and wide. Marriage law, divorce law, civil rights. If you can marry a robot, can you and that robot adopt a child? What I really want to know is, if you're allowed to marry your robot, are you allowed to marry a piece of your property? Is that what this implies? And if you're allowed to marry a piece of your property, what other pieces of your property can you marry? Can I marry this pen? What about this microphone? What about my shirt? If I really like my shirt and love my shirt, actually, can I marry it? Can I raise a child with my shirt? Can my shirt and this pen adopt a child? And can I leave that child, that baby, at home with this pen when I go do whatever it is I want to do? Can I have sexual relations with any of the objects in my house that I choose to marry? How many objects can I marry? Can I only marry one? What does this mean for property law? People have pets, and if you're allowed to marry a robot, which is property to you, are you allowed to marry a pet? That's where it starts to get a little bit wishy-washy in the marry a robot area. Or is the robot not considered a piece of your property? Is it something that you don't buy? And if that's the case, then where do the robots come from? Are they just living in an autonomous life somewhere? Does that mean that they can say no to you? Because if the robot can say no to you and isn't completely under your control, then it completely defeats the whole purpose of people like this woman. Because people like her want to marry a robot because they can control it and it can't leave them and it can't hurt them. And if the robot has autonomy and it can make decisions, then it can do all the things that people like her are trying to avoid. But I'm sure this will be a social justice issue in the future. People will demand equal rights for those who want to marry their robots. In fact, they already are talking about it. Laws will be passed. There will be ceremonies where the first person that marries a robot will be televised everywhere. And before you know it, I'll be walking down the aisle with my favorite pen. Probably not this one.